Welcome to episode 2 of loading volume EM data in Blender with TIFF to Blender. So in the previous episode we saw how to get a volume EM FIB-SEM block into Blender and how to slice it and how to visualize it and how to render it. Now we're going to go through how to show the masks that are in the segmentation masks that are in this data set. So this dataset in the original data has 14 different segmentation channels, and these all do load together in Blender, but it was a bit difficult to, it was hard to manage, so I only have a few of them included. So we have a TIFF stack with 5 channels with first our data, then we have our trichocysts. So these we can see like this. So these are integer label masks with the same pixel density as the data, with each a separate value. And these are actually organelles that can be extruded from the body. Then we have the tica, which is here also shown transparently, which is the actual cellulose body of this dinoflagellate. And we have mitochondria and chloroplasts. Or this might actually be the other way around. I think these might be the mitochondria and the other were the chloroplasts. Let's see how this looks in Blender. So we're back in Blender, back in a new file. I will remove with A and X. I will remove these first starting things in the scene. And in Scene Properties, go to TIFF to Blender. Here we can go to our 5-channel data, and we need to set our pixel size to actually be the 16 nanometers that we have, and give our label mask channel. So the 0th channel is, channel 0 is our data, and the other 4 channels are all label masks. So we need to give them as comma-separated values in this text box. And then there is the fact that we don't want the surfaces because this is probably going to take very long, and we don't need an emission volume. And we can press load TIFF. Relevantly, this can take very long on the first try, but once all the meshes have been made for the masks, this should then load very quickly each next time you do this, but with a new data set, this might still take very long. I'm looking into making this faster in the future, but for now, this is the state of it. Okay, so it's loaded. I will again first turn off the axes. This is usually quite useful for a lot of data types, so this is why they're usually included, but for the volume EM, it can be a bit heavy. And we can see our slicing cube, and inside it we saw our data. So this is very similar to how we had it last time. The only thing that's added is that we have masks now. So here we have our volume with our masks. So the masks all get loaded with a revolving color map per object ID. So they all have the same color map on load, because the assumption is that you want to also be able to color things per object ID. So let's go and look at these shaders for our masks. So here we're in this faster view so that the volume doesn't get rendered as complicatedly, and we can see our different masks. We can also just turn off the volume for now. And we can see for the masks, we have under this gear icon, we can include different channels. So we have here mitochondria, chloroplasts, tica, and our trichocysts. So let's recolor these 3 because they're all the same color. So we go to our materials. So this is how the here we will always find what geometry is in the scene under the gear icon, and then in the shader, which is also here, we will see how is it being colored. So for channel 2, we go by object ID and we do this MPL tab 10. We can also unlink this and we have a white thicker. And for this as well, we can make it slightly more transparent because it is around a lot of other things. For let's do something similar for the chloroplasts. And only a little bit. And for the mitochondria. And then for our trichocysts, we can actually we have all these separate segmentations, so we can keep our revolving color map, and this looks very good. It looks interesting to me. However, let's just turn them off for now and go back to the volume as well. So if we turn the volume back on, we need to redo its shading as well. Still thinking about where it is. So I'm going to reproduce what I had in the last video, which looked around here, and slicing this around here. So you can see that if we have a sliced object, that it does kind of hide a lot of our segmentations because these are in these dense regions that we're filtering. So this could be alleviated a little bit if we do not invert it, because then there is more electron sparse matter and we can actually see through more of the volume. So we can see here that the green is indeed the chloroplast because we have this beautiful ringing of this of our thylakoids. Make this even higher, make even less visible. So now we essentially only see the chromosomes in this of the volume. How much do we actually see the thicker? Let's give the thicker also a color because it's a bit, it falls a bit away. What's also an option is that we slice our segmentation with a different slicing cube than we're slicing our volume. So for this, we have to see that here we have for each channel, so that's both in the volume and in the masks, we have a separate part of the shader where a slicing cube is found. So we can add a second slicing cube, where we can just do add. So with Shift A or from the add menu, we can add a cube. And with S, we can scale this up. And we can give this a material where it is fully transparent, because we don't actually care about how it's being shown. The only thing that we care about is that in the masks, we can delete the slicing cube, but point to our new cube. So you do have to do this for every channel that you want to have affected by it. Let's also do the trichocysts just for later. So now we have this second cube where we can move around in 3D and show how our objects actually kind of look through the block, how our segmentations are shaped, but we can also show our block at the same time. So if we render this out to get, so we're adding a camera that we are with Command Option 0 putting into the frame. This can also be found through View Align. We can zoom this out a little, not that much, and render a view just to kind of see how it looks without all the noise. So this took a little bit longer to render, so this is for just one frame. We had 8 minutes and 45 seconds. So there are some render settings that you could change to still make this a bit more doable, but it is this thing where these collisions between meshes and volumes and how light paths should be within them is a bit difficult. But you can see that now we also have in this depth, you can really see the mitochondrial cage going through the volume itself, which I think looks really cool. I think this slicing otherwise is a bit weird, but this was just to quickly show it. So here we now have seen how to load our segmentation masks, how to select different ones, how to combine them with our volume, and how to render this out into something nice, and how to also slice them separately. In the next video, I will be taking the same data set, the same file, and trying to create a full video, the video that we that we've seen at the start, trying to animate how this looks.